afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
JAYASREE, please sit down. Introduce yourself quickly in a minute.
Sir, my name is JAYASREE Pradhan. I have been born and raised in Darjeeling district. I did my schooling from Loreto Convent, Darjeeling itself, after which I pursued my legal education from Karnataka State Law University in Bengaluru. Apart from that, I also have an interest in music where I have learnt classical music from Trinity College, London. I'm an avid reader as well, sir.
Very nice. You have great interest in international relations
Yes,
and you've done law.
yes.
In fact, if you ask me, if we have to suggest one most important discipline for international relations, it's law. Yes. Now, can you tell us, when it comes to international law, what are the sources of international law? Where does it come from?
So Article 38 of the International Court of Justice Statute clearly points out the sources of international law. The first source is conventions and treaties. The second source is customs. The third source comes from judicial decisions. And the fourth source also comes from the work of jurists. So these are the main sources.
And other points of reference for law, international law, because there are international organizations and they have their own set of principles and guidelines, procedures. Would you be able to list them also? Because normally you refer to those intergovernmental agreements.
Yes. So if there is a sufficient opinio juris, which is if there is sufficient acceptance from the international community, then such laws can also be applied as a part of international law.
So there are, for example, trade laws, there are consular laws, are there any laws on peace and security?
So we
There
have
are
the
human
UN
rights conventions. What about peace and security?
So peace and security, the UN Charter itself. So
UN
Article
Charter
1.
itself.
Yes.
Now, very often people will argue, it's a kind of a street talk, that India should not have gone to the UN when we had this Jammu and Kashmir conflict going on. Tell me, in your mind, as a law student, was it a mistake or a wise thing to do?
So I believe in hindsight, when we look at this particular decision, it can be seen that this particular position that India took has been used against India itself, because it was utilized in a negative way by the UN organization as well.
No, but if I say this decision prevented a much more aggressive decision by the Security Council against us?
Yes, sir. So I believe that given the facts and circumstances of that case, and given that we were a budding nation at the time, I felt that the then Prime Minister did what he felt was best for our country. So, and I feel that it is easy to look things in hindsight and have that foresight.
So even in hindsight,
yes, sir.
Even in hindsight, I think that was a wise decision. Yes? Because if we didn't go to UN, somebody else could have gone.
Yes.
And could have gone with their own agenda in mind.
Yes.
And could have drafted a very different resolution. At least this resolution we drafted, and we made sure that there was nothing more serious against us.
Yes.
Yes? Now, people will say, again, a very commonly used term, rule of law. And then there's a rule by law. When we say rule of law, which quality of law we have in mind?
So when we talk of rule of law, the primary qualities we have in mind is number one, absence of discretionary power. Number two is the legitimacy of law itself.
Yeah, this would have
Yes, sir.
what I want. Legitimacy.
Yes, sir.
Now, where do you draw legitimacy in law?
So the legitimacy in law comes from the mandate of the people, mostly through constitutional values.
Mandate of the people, exactly. So if I have played a role in drafting a law, I will abide by that.
Yes.
But if I played no role, then I will not, because it's not my law. Is that true?
So
Because it's not my law. Gandhiji Swaraj. Now, I had no role in this. So why would I respect a law which I have no role in drafting?
So I believe that when it comes to the constitutional ethos, so it surpasses the aspect of whether it is my law or whether it is...
No, my law, not directly.
Yes, sir.
Through my representative.
Yes, sir.
It's my law.
Yes, sir.
A law passed by Indian Parliament is my law. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Because I delegate my power of making law to the members of Parliament.
Yes, sir.
So it's my law. But if a law is not made by my Parliament, then it's not my law.
Yes, sir.
All right.
JAYASREE, what are important news from West Bengal
Sir,
last 1 month?
so primarily the Sandesh Khali violence is the one important news.
So you would have been DM there. What would have been your action?
So the first aspect would be in terms of assessment of the ground situation. So in terms of assessment, we see that this issue of women violence came to light only after a particular incident had occurred, especially the ED raid. So my responsibility as a DM would be to assess the ground situation to ensure that preventive measures could have been taken. The second aspect is the implementation part in terms of law and order. Because currently we do see a conflict with the police forces. So sufficient police forces and law and order situation.
Okay, this is one news.
Yes, sir.
Second important news.
So the second important news was also with respect to the increasing child marriages, sir. Recently there was a report that had come out which stated that Bengal is one of the leading states in our country which has a lot of child marriages.
It is now exceeded more than Rajasthan.
Yes, sir.
So what's the reason for that? It is confined to particular community or in Hindu, Muslim and for everywhere? Some data are available?
So I'm not exactly sure about the community part. So but what the report did state is that they are the origin country, they are the origin states, especially the states of Bengal, Assam. And then now they are transferred to other states such as Maharashtra. So people from Bengal are taken to other states like Maharashtra and Bihar. So I think the issue also boils down to
And
the
this is
illegal
even more
immigration.
dangerous because that is the almost sale of the girl
Yes.
to that extent. Oh, but this development is a very, very late development. What happened to this dispute between two judges, High Court judges and the Supreme Courts?
So I'd have to read more upon that, sir.
You are not aware that the decision of the bench was overturned by the second bench and then matter went to Supreme Court? Because since you are the student of law,
Yes, sir.
so that's why. What are the other conflicts between West Bengal government and center?
So the first conflict is with respect to the governor itself, the office of the governor. It has been quite disputed, especially by the West Bengal government. That is one. The second is with the release of funds. Even in the recent West Bengal budget, the West Bengal government has stated that the center has not released sufficient funds to the state. Those are the two main issues, sir.
Okay, you are interested in what non-fiction will you suggest me for reading?
So I would like to suggest two books, sir. One is The Courage to be Disliked. It is by Fumitake Koga and Ichiro Kishimo, which is a beautiful book.
Which country they belong to?
Japan, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so the second book I would like to recommend is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Victor?
Frankl, sir. He was a Holocaust survivor and he wrote this book, sir.
Okay, what's your optional? Acha, law.
Yes, sir.
Will you just tell me some important judges in Supreme Court, women judges, so far?
So far we've had important female judges. We've had Justice Indira Banerjee. So we have now currently Justice B.V. Nagaratna, who is set to become the first female Chief Justice of India in 2027. So apart from that, we also have Justice Hema Kohli, sir.
You add further? One has been given Padma Bhushan recently.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm not being
Thank
able to
you, ma'am.
recall.
Jayashree, the long arms of law will follow you. So, since you're a law student, even I'm compelled to ask some law questions. You did international law also, right? And you know about what's happening in International Court of Justice, right? Now, is USA signatory, or can it dictate terms to or pressurize the International Court of Justice?
Ma'am, the ICJ is a separate court. It is one of the organs of United Nations, and it does enjoy its own autonomy. So any country would not be able to put conditions upon such a body, sir, ma'am.
No, yeah, but they have been trying to persuade the International Court of Justice for something. And what is that?
Ma'am, it is. I believe it is in the context of Israel-Hamas war.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So it is regarding.
Ma'am, is it? Ma'am,
You read about it, otherwise you read about it.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I believe it is with the respect to ceasefire, ma'am.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, ceasefire and evacuation. Yeah, okay. All right. Now next, the Supreme Court, because you're from Darjeeling, right? And you've seen the depletion of forests that's going on. They've also said something about forest. Yes. What is that?
Ma'am, recently we had the TN Goda Varman judgment.
Yeah.
And ma'am, what it held was with respect to the Forest Rights, Forest Act of 1980. Ma'am, there were certain provisions that were there that was held to be a bit problematic, especially with respect to the exemption in terms of the government exemptions that were given, and also the designation of forest areas
Yeah.
is what was
And
issued.
definition. No?
Definition of forest itself,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
So, how much land do we have under forest cover? India has so-called forest.
Ma'am, I'm not aware of the exact data, ma'am, but I do know that we are the 10th largest country in terms of forest cover. as per
Okay,
the
we
recent-
say we are 24 odd percent, is under cover, and even that, I mean, a lot of it, whether it qualifies as forest or not qualifies as forest, is something you need to, kind of read about. Now, women's reservation bill, right? Tell me as to how it is going to benefit women, or it's only going to be used in a proxy sort of a way, where women are going to be just a facade.
Ma'am, I believe this concern also raises from the fact of our Panchayati Raj institutions, where we've seen the
Yeah.
concept of Sarpanch Patis.
Yeah, yeah.
So, having said that, however, I do feel that the 3% reservation that is provided by the 106th Constitutional Amendment
Yeah.
is a very good step. And because it functions at a higher level, the Parliament, and there is more public scrutiny at that level, the hope is that such issues would not arise at the Parliament level.
Excellent. Very nice.
Thank you. Jayasree, law is your optional,
Yes, sir.
okay? And foreign service is your choice number one. Okay. Can multilateralism and national interest coexist side by side?
Yes, sir, definitely. And I think that is the only way in which multilateralism should exist. Because without national security first, we cannot even think of having multilateralism. We need to secure our own boundaries and we need to secure our own growth before we even think of multilateralism.
What is your understanding of strategic autonomy?
So my understanding of strategic autonomy is that our country is not ruled and it is not governed by the ideologies of other countries, and that we decide as to who our relations, with whom we forge our relations with.
India-Russia relations keep China and the US at the backdrop. What are the challenges?
So when it comes to the growing India-Russia relations, we see that Russia is now exporting about the Russian oil, for instance. It comprises about 45% of the total imports to India, and we do see a closer relations in terms of defense and other aspects as well. Having said that, sir, I feel that in a way, because we do follow strategic autonomy, we also have good relations with US. And in terms of China, we are also countering China in various ways. So, sir, I do not see that it will, I feel that India is very well equipped to deal with such challenges if it were to arise, sir.
Last question, a hypothetical one. Suppose you are, Principal Secretary Law to the West Bengal government, and the Honorable Chief Minister asks you, prepare a rule of law index. What should be the parameters which are measurable and monitorable? Rule of law index.
So the first would be in terms of the socio-economic index, that is violence against
No,
women, children.
don't give me a long narrative. As a student of law,
Yes, sir.
rule of law index, what should be the parameters?
So equality before law, that is one.
Okay.
Second is discretionary power, whether
Okay.
it is there. And third, whether the legitimacy of the law is followed.
That's all. What about transparency, accountability,
Transparency, accountability.
corruption perception?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
sir.
Good afternoon, JAYASREE. You're doing very well. Okay, keep it up. Guitar, you like playing the guitar?
Yes, sir.
Very good. What is the etymology or origin of the guitar?
So the guitar as we know of today, it originated back in 1817. It was done by this person known as Antonio Torres. And it
There
originated
is
in
mention
Spain.
of the guitar even in the Bible. When was the Bible compiled?
I'm sorry, sir. I would
Long
have
time
to
back,
know.
BCE.
Yes.
Okay. Any connection? No? It comes from the Greek instrument called kitara.
Thank you, sir, for that.
Okay. All right. And what was its predecessor? Any idea?
No, sir.
No, think, you don't have to, just what could it be? Some kind of a string instrument it has to be.
So Indian sitar.
No, think, you see, you're talking about the guitar. You're talking about Western instruments. Think about what it could be. A stringed instrument,
Yes, sir.
fabled string instrument, you've seen it, it's
I'm unable to recall. Sir.
harp.
Harp. Yes, sir.
Okay, don't worry, no problem. You're doing well, okay, Jayasree? What is the maximum strength of the Lok Sabha?
So currently it is at 552 members.
552, are you sure?
Recently, because of the Anglo-Indian aspect, now it is 550, sir.
So you said currently it is 552.
Yes,
So is it 552 or 550?
550, sir.
But there are 543 members in Parliament or in Lok Sabha, isn't it? Why?
Sir,
Where have these 7 so-called Snow White's dwarfs gone away?
I'm sorry, sir. I'd have to read more upon that.
Okay, no problem. I'll help you with the answer. Since you like, foreign policy is your first option. Who are India's neighbors?
So we have Pakistan, China, Nepal.
You missed one
Bhutan,
neighbor in between.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, is Afghanistan a neighbor or no?
So it is a neighbor, sir.
Or where do we share a border with Afghanistan?
So I think in the Gilgit-Baltistan region.
And what is that region now?
So it is autonomous, sir.
Pakistan occupied.
Pakistan
Occupied
Pakistan
Kashmir.
occupied Kashmir, sir.
So now where are the 7 members?
So from that area.
So the seats have been left vacant. Okay, you're doing well. Now don't get bogged down by these kind of things. Okay,
Yes,
Jayasree, you're doing very well. Let's finish on a high. All right. Karnataka. You've been in Bangalore for some time.
Yes, sir.
Bangalore's traffic is the most notorious in the world. Can you give us 2 or 3 pragmatic solutions to Bangalore's traffic? You would have witnessed it firsthand.
Yes, sir. So the first solution would be with respect to traffic management and the use of technology.
Use of technology.
Yes.
Very good. So what can we do?
So in terms of use of technology, we need, there have been talks about drone assessments as well as surveillance. So
There's some
as
new
to
Japanese technology that is being used. Are you aware?
So the red light region
Something
is
to-
identified. So the traffic sensitive areas are identified under this technology.
What else?
So second is we need sensitization of the public in terms of noise pollution, so that when they are caught in traffic, they don't cause noise pollution. So that is second.
Okay. Thank you, Jayasree.